If I didn't have, or if I wasn't constantly experiencing insert internal obstacle, then I would insert desired behavior or achievement of a goal. This is your statement of your conflict with reality. And if you're feeling stuck in life, you probably have a statement of this sort. To make this more concrete, I will give an example of my statement of my conflict with reality from the past. If I wasn't insecure and if I wasn't riddled with anxiety, I would be consistently writing and creating educational material about the books that I'm reading from different schools of psychology and philosophy. Well, guess what? It's been over 6 years that I've been consistently writing online. And right now, I've passed 100 days of daily educational YouTube videos. This is not to brag. This is just to explain to you that all of us, or most of us, at some points in our lives, have this conflict with reality, but it can be solved. And I want to talk to you precisely about how to solve this conflict. It's pretty straightforward, it's simple, but I'm not saying it's easy. First, let us acknowledge that we have a conflict with reality. By the way, this concept comes from Morita therapy, Japanese school of psychotherapy, also called Japanese psychology of action, that was primarily created for dealing with anxiety-based disorders. And Morita therapy, talking about the conflict with reality, is trying to nudge us towards a reality-oriented living, a more constructive, action-based life. Now, if we acknowledge that we have a conflict with reality, what we are going to focus on is this thing. If I didn't have, or if I wasn't constantly experiencing that internal obstacle. If we acknowledge that this is supposedly our sticking point, then we can move on to the next step, and that is to face an imaginary choice. What if I said to you that there is a chance you can press this button and you get to do everything that you want to do in life while still experiencing this internal obstacle? Or you can say, no, the only way that I want to do all of those things is after removing the internal obstacle. This brings another question. What is your goal? Is your primary goal to change how you're feeling? Or is your primary goal to do all of these things in life and to accomplish all of these things in life and to live life more fully, but you're thinking that you need to change how you're feeling first in order to achieve and experience those things? Now, you have to answer the question. What is your primary goal? What do you want the most? Those experiences, that pursuit, the action, the journey? Or do you want to change how you're feeling? Do you want to change your internal states? If the answer is the former, you want experiences, action, journey, pursuit, full action-based life, then I have good news for you. You can have all of that while feeling the way that you're feeling right now. There is no imaginary button for you to press, but there is a concrete path towards you doing the things that you want to do in life before changing how you're feeling. I'm not saying that you will never change how you're feeling, but before changing how you're feeling, you get to do all of those things. And the first step is called direct action. That is the simplest, lowest barrier to entry constructive action that you can take in your day to reinforce your belief that you are the type of person that can take action despite how they're feeling. So not identifying the highest leverage action, that's so popular. That's so popular in the productivity space. Every single day, identify your highest leverage task. And that's amazing. Listen, if we were always able to execute on the highest leverage task, that would be wonderful. Then let's start every day by executing the highest leverage task, and then our life is a never-ending, upward, straight moving line of progress and growth. But that's not how life works. We have internal obstacles, we have external obstacles, we have detours, ups and downs on our journey. Therefore, if you're finding yourself stuck, if you are a person who can clearly identify their conflict with reality, who have their statement of their conflict with reality, by the way, drop it in the comments if you're not too shy. If you're that type of person, then direct action is one of your most important tools. because you cannot always, or maybe there are periods of time where you can rarely focus on the highest leverage task, on the most productive task, but there should be no shame attached to it. You're trying to help yourself reinforce the image of yourself as an action taker despite the challenges. I shared my example of being a person who was insecure, riddled with anxiety, struggling with imposter syndrome, with perfectionism. So, do you think that my first step was to write a 5,000 word essay and publish it online? No. It was to write short snippets, 2 or 3 sentences of commentary on particular quotes and ideas that have inspired me. And then, on some days, it would be to write 1 sentence, and on some days, it would be to read 1 paragraph as my direct action, or to do something completely unrelated to my pursuit, but something that is somewhat constructive that would help me reinforce the image of myself as an action taker despite how I'm feeling. So if I'm having a day where my anxiety was particularly too strong, I will go do my laundry. If I'm feeling incapable of writing, I will probably write later in the day, and that was something that I managed to do every day because it was so important to me. But right now you don't have to think about 30-day, 50-day, or 365-day streak of some creative action, creative habit. Right now, you should think of a streak of doing something every day, despite how you're feeling, of doing something every day to reinforce the image of yourself as an action taker. So direct action can be related to your specific goals and pursuits, but doesn't have to be. As I said, it can be doing laundry, it can be cleaning your room, it can be making your bed, the most famous direct action. It can be going on a walk, it can be sending a text to a loved one, calling a friend that you were supposed to call 3 days ago or 15 days ago. Any constructive action that proves that despite how you're feeling and despite this overwhelming sense of not being able to progress in life because of how you're feeling, you still get to do something. And that something will not always stay on that level. That's something, because of you strengthening this internal image of who you are, this something will progress. And your capacity to do other things will progress. Your capacity to experience symptoms of panic and then go on and do a workshop, live workshop, that's something that you can achieve. I'm sharing once again a personal example. It happened a couple of times that I'm experiencing symptoms of panic and I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is going to turn into a full-blown panic attack and maybe even I'm going to have to seek help, but I'm able to calm myself down or to allow the sensations to run through me, and then 20, 30 minutes later, I'm able to be in front of 10, 15, 30 people giving a live workshop. How cool. Again, not to brag, just to say I'm one of you having that conflict with reality. Right now, maybe I don't have one, or maybe I have one yet to identify. To be completely honest, I've been feeling pretty good last weeks and months, really showing up for myself and my pursuit. But that doesn't mean that in the future I might not experience another conflict with reality. So there is no shame. That's the most important step. The first step, there is no shame in experiencing anxiety, imposter syndrome, lethargy, any form of stuckness, any form of insecurity, anything that is an internal obstacle preventing you, up to this point, preventing you from moving forward. No shame, but acknowledgement. Then that acknowledgement leads to realization that, okay, I still can do all of these things on a smaller level or in a different way, despite how I'm feeling. I will not opt for the mood-based life. Mood-based life meaning I will prioritize fixing my mood and my inner sensations before I even think about doing all of these things. I will prioritize trying and figuring out how to take action despite how I'm feeling, even before, quote-unquote, fixing how I'm feeling. This is a journey that is accessible to you. This is a journey that is very realistic. There is nothing extravagant about it. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's why it's not so popular, because there isn't anything extravagant about it. There are no wild promises. a promise of acknowledging your conflict with reality, deciding to prioritize action and your journey and living your life over fixing your internal states. Not saying that your internal states will not improve over time, but prioritizing action and actually living your life. And then going over to or proceeding to reinforce the image of yourself as an action taker by engaging in direct action, and through that becoming more confident in tackling other tasks in your day. So for now, I have 2 questions for you. What is your conflict with reality, if you can identify it? And then, what is the direct action that you can take today? As always, stay strong, love life, never feel sorry for yourself. Know that there is always a step that you can take to move forward. Light that raging fire in your heart and always go beyond. Thank you.